system on Moodle. So this system allows the professor to do the in-class quizzes, and we can see the end result from the graphical of the data, and the professor is able to make their own custom questions. And then we also worked on the system dynamic and static.
So last quarter we found that this feedback module that's already in Moodle kind of has what we want to do, but there's some things we had to tweak with it. One thing was it's by static and by, so when the professor wants to create some questions, they have to choose exactly what time of the day to open the feedback and when to close it, and we want to have it more flexible. So I don't know if they're running late for a lecture, they could be able to alter that time just on the spot. So what we did was we had to start and stop button, and then as Ben showed in his, we also altered some other UI, which is Uma. Yeah. So one thing that an issue that we're concerned with the way Moodle works is if we're going to use the feedback module, the problem is if someone was to update it, make a new version of it, it's gonna reflect everyone else's Moodle project, and so we would have to make sure our own tweak version will still work with this new updated version. So the good thing about it is since it's licensed under the GPL, we are able to take that code and then we're gonna have it. We'll have Aaron explain this better, but we're gonna merge it with all these other projects so that we could create a whole new feedback module that won't be dependent on the current one that's in the system. And that way we're going to break this dependency issue and we won't have any more problems. And something that we still need to change for the second half is these are some of the options that are in the feedback, and we want to get rid of this question type because all the question types are going to be multiple choice for the professors, so we don't think this would be necessary. So we still need to tweak this UI and also do the next one. This is a graphical display right now that Kwong was talking about, but we want to potentially change it so that the professor could have better display. And I know we found some ideas, and we might not be able to do this by the end of the quarter, but we'll try to set this up for our future development, and it should be pretty cool.
So, basically, my initial goal when I got here was to make the clicker talk to Moodle and have Moodle be sort of the database of record where all the results are. Last quarter, Alric and a few other people had created a driver in C# which ran under Mono and actually talked to the clicker and was able to gather the results into a dictionary list, but it didn't really go anywhere from there. So the other thing that I ran into that I kind of noticed when I got in here was we had a couple of different Moodle camps. There was like the file upload camp, and there's the notes camp, and then the feedback camp, and then my camp. So since it's all one project, we all agreed, why don't we merge this into the simulcast camp, right? So, a few little stumbling blocks last week, but what we were able to do is basically merge in my work into the notes work, and then these guys are working on merging what version of the file or feedback module into the simulcast lectures module as well. That way we have one module that encompasses the entire scope. So what we ended up doing, or what I ended up doing, is I wrote a class in C#, which Alric was able to implement, and what that did is it actually gathered the data from that dictionary list and posted it via HTTP into a Moodle gateway that I wrote. So basically what happens is the driver sits there in loops and gathers everyone's votes, and then as soon as you click pause, it fires off another thread that goes and posts all the data into Moodle. Now, what ends up happening is Moodle, and I'll show you in a second, gives you a special unique URL that you plug into this driver. And what that allows us to do is know which student it was, what particular simulcast lecture it was, and when they clicked everything, and everything that they clicked in between them, their initial answer and their final answer. So, this was us basically getting it to work. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the actual machine, so I couldn't demo it, but it does successfully post, and we're able to have these systems talk now, which is cool. And this is the result set in the database, just showing clicker ID, which is a 32-bit hexadecimal number, and then the button which was pressed. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that this gateway in Moodle is not specific to this driver. So if later on we have some sort of SMS gateway or another website or something like that, all it has to do is talk to this HTTP gateway, and we'll be able to get results from multiple sources at the same time. Right now we're focusing on the clicker in that driver, but it's sort of boundless at that point. So this might be kind of hard to see, but this is the Simulcast Lectures Moodle module administration page. So basically what you can do is you can sort of enable or disable the gateway globally. So if for some reason you want to use this module but you don't want to turn on this external gateway, it's very simple to kind of just remove that checkbox. The lecture HTTP access, what this does is this says, I want a unique identifier for each simulcast lecture. So we may remove this because maybe we always want that, but for now you can turn that off and on. It auto-generates a unique access code, which will be required for anything that wants to post in. That way you can't just know the URL and go and post it. You can make your own up, or you can also just check this to reset it whenever you want. So then the other problem that we had is we wanted the students to register their clicker number, because they actually have to buy them and they're theirs, into Moodle. But we didn't want to make them go through some sort of strange process to do that. So I was able to find out how, via the XML install file that you build for your module, to programmatically add additional fields to the student's profile. So when this module gets installed, any student who registers for that course will be able to just click edit in their profile and add their iClicker number. This is what's going to tie their vote to them for that particular course. So the next thing that we did was when you go to the simulcast lecture, you'll see from the previous slides, this is the same page where you create the YouTube video and the notes and stuff. You're going to get the unique ID for that lecture, and then it's going to auto-generate the URL for you. So basically, in the future, we want to kind of automate how this gets into whatever gateway system there is. But for now, you just copy and paste this into the configuration file, and then it will know where to put that data for that lecture. For now, the professor may have to copy it and then paste it. So we want to kind of make that better, but for now it seems to work. So the second half of this class, I'm going to be working with Brian and those guys to get result graphing in place. And we also want to kind of refine the HTTP interface because it's lacking some error handling, and we also want to integrate both the graphing and the start and stop of this feedback into the podium as well. So that way, if the professor isn't necessarily in Moodle, since Moodle's our database of record, we can start and stop that sort of thing on a whim. So that's where we are, and that's sort of where we want to go.